Welcome to the Roots and Rhythm podcast, where we explore the essence of culture, our experiences, and a healing journey that shapes our growth in family. Through heartfelt stories about marriage, mental health, relationships, and parenting, we create a space where you can find connection, understanding, and inspiration. Join us as we explore the rhythms of life, one story at a time.
What's up, everybody? Yeah. Welcome to another episode of the Roots and Rhythm podcast, where we explore the rhythms of life, one story at a time. As always, it's your boy, Vlad the Bull, your number one embrace coach, and I'm joined by the lovely and only
Angie, let's say bit mommy.
in the building. Yo, Angie, tell us something good, my sister. What is good with you?
You know, the snow is melting.
Hey.
We had a warm-ish weekend, I guess.
It was in the 40s, so for those of you
Yeah,
guys are
that's
not from
warm.
Massachusetts or from the Northeast, 40s is like 70 in most other places. where
Right.
it's warm.
Anywhere else. I've been parenting apart, solo parenting. Wallace is at a conference in New York at APAP, getting some jobs for the year.
Who?
APAP, it's like the American Performing something in New York.
It sounds like a medical procedure. Like, yo, we got to schedule for
I'm gonna
APAP.
get that APAP. Yeah, so so he's there. He'll be back in a few days. We miss
right.
him. I was just showing Vlad some videos that the girls record for a while. It's like, Papi, watch this. I miss you. Watch this, and then they're like doing their little dance.
Yo, the girls are so cute. You know, we have to watch Cheetah Girls.
Oh.
With the
Alana's current obsession is Cheetah Girls, okay? She loves Cheetah Girls. And I don't know who introduced her to Cheetah Girls. We probably saw it on Disney Channel or something. And they just started watching it, and that's her thing. She listens to the songs on Spotify. She is obsessed. I mean, she is a Cheetah Girl.
Is she a Cheetah Girl?
She is. I mean, come on. All she does is perform, sing, and fight with her sister. Literally a Cheetah Girl.
Well, I hope she's not Raven in Cheetah Girls, because she wasn't very well liked in the movie. But she's probably Adrian. She'll do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but that's
I
her
love that
current
movie.
obsession. That and cats, obviously, never going away.
Cats.
Just cats.
Yeah, Lito, he likes it. He was doing some spin around. We're just being, whatever. We're just being ourselves, kooky and crazy. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, there's a song that exemplifies this perfectly. It's called Spin Around by Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh.
And from the movie, which I've seen a gajillion times. So
Vlad is a pussycat and a cheetah girl.
listen, I have no shame in my game. Look, if you want to get in the comments and say that, hey, that's not manly, bro, how you going to be talking about the Cheetah Girls? As they say down south, kiss my grits. Okay?
Kiss my grits.
You've heard them say
People
that, right?
do say that.
Yeah, kiss my grits, because, listen, I'm at the point in my life where I know exactly who I am, and I am comfortable in who I am. So if you think it's unmanly for me to like Cheetah Girls and to like the music, then somebody wrote that song and it wasn't you, so be mad about it.
I'm going to say good music is good music. A good movie is a good movie.
Ella May is one of my favorite artists, man. I be bumping her stuff and not afraid that anybody's looking. So you could say that I subscribe to not subscribing, but I'll tell you what I need to say real quick. If you subscribe to Cheetah Girls, but you don't subscribe to this podcast, you and I got problems.
What
so
are
make
you
sure you hit that button right there. Subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe, so we can get this to our channels and to your networks that need to hear this message. Okay? All right, then. All right. All right. Cheetah Girls. I love it. So what are we talking about today on the Roots and Rhythm podcast? What are we going to do to not only disrupt your rhythm, but get it on track? All right. Today we are talking about fighting fair in relationships. Yeah. We are going to define what it means to fight fair and what happens when you don't fight fair. What happens when communication falls apart? Why is it so foundational to a relationship?
Yeah. And fighting isn't the problem, Vlad. It's how you fight.
It's how you fight. Mm-hmm. You heard her. You heard the lady, okay? You heard the queen. Somebody give her flowers, because she said it's how you fight, not whether you fight or not.
Because we're going to fight. Any kind of close relationship that you have, it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies. There's going to be conflict of some sort, but it's how you navigate that conflict and how you get to the end. It's the journey.
It's the journey. And you got to ask yourself, why do people, when they hear fighting or conflict, their blood pressure goes up? No, I don't want to fight with my partner. And I'll tell you from experience, I didn't want to be in a relationship and have conflict because I knew deep down I didn't know how to have healthy conflict with a partner or with a friend or anything like that. It was always all or nothing.
You saw unhealthy conflict.
Right, right. I saw combative conflict. And so you can disagree with a partner. There's no way that you're going to build a life with somebody and get along with them all the time. Like there are going to be times where you might not like that person in that moment, or you might not like what they did. And you still have to find a way to live with them and converse with them, especially if there are kids involved. It goes well beyond what's affecting you. It's also what's affecting your children and your children's children and your children's children.
Well, think about it, Vlad. If you're in a conflict and you're trying to solve a problem, your kids are seeing that, right? So they're going to see, okay, this is how my parents, navigated this, or they had a disagreement. And, they're just saying like opposites attract. So how do you expect there not to be problems when you're two completely different people?
Right.
I would not want to be married to myself. We'd both be dead.
We'd both be dead.
Just dead. Okay. But I think a lot of people too are like conflict avoidant. Like they'd rather just appease to avoid like having some sort of discussion, maybe because they think it's gonna go bad. Versus, I'm okay with conflict. If I have a problem, I will say something. And I don't. Sometimes that's not needed because I feel like sometimes you do have to like step away. But I am the person that's like, okay, this happened. Let's talk about it. But I think that's the thing. You have to talk about it. You have to bring things up because then it's going to build resentment. You're going to do a silent treatment. And then that just also causes problems. Nothing's going to get resolved when someone's not speaking up.
Right. And it's 100% true. Avoidance is something that is somewhat of a trauma response, right? When you don't want to have, or just maybe a response to the way that you were raised or conditioned. You maybe don't want to bring up hard, difficult conversations because in the past when you did, you either got your butt whooped or it fell on deaf ears and your needs weren't end up being met. So when we talk about fighting fair, all right, maybe let's rephrase for our folks out there. Let's look at it as conflicting fair. Having fair conflict. What does that mean? Well, essentially, fair conflict is having a disagreement, experiencing that while keeping respect intact.
Yes.
And it's about remembering that you two aren't opponents to each other. You're two partners trying to solve a shared problem.
Right.
Now, how do you avoid that when you feel like your partner is dead wrong on something, or you feel like your needs haven't been met in this particular issue, you're not being heard, and it's been weeks of this, or months, or even years of this? How do you combat that? How do you approach that while keeping respect intact? Because I'll tell you, social media is not doing anybody any favors, and there's a lot of jibber jabber on both sides of the aisle, telling men what they should be doing in relationships, telling women how they should be in relationships. You can't let him talk to you like that. You could be independent. Well, I ain't going out like that. It's just a bunch of, listen, you keep people out of your relationship and you'll do better, right? But this isn't a man or a woman thing. This isn't a gender or biological sex thing. This is just two people who are committed to creating a life together.
And I think too, it's like the goal is to understand what the actual problem is, not to win. Because I feel like sometimes you're like going back and forth and you're like, well, I have to get the last word, or I'm going to say this because I know that they're going to get hurt when I say that, versus like, okay, staying on the topic of whatever the conflict is and then trying to resolve that versus like attacking to be like have the upper hand or be on top when like to your point, we're on the same team here. We're trying to solve a problem, not beat you up. You're not the problem. It's the problem's the problem.
Ooh, say it again for the people in the back.
The problem is the problem. Your partner's not the problem.
Right.
Right.
Well, why do you think people fight unfairly? Let's start there, because I'm sure that there are people in our audience who always find themselves in conflicts, no matter what relationship or who they're with. It's just like a constant snowball of, well, this person said this and this, I ain't like that, and I moved on. So why do you think people fight unfairly in relationships? Like how do we get to the point where respect is no longer intact?
I think it's years or just a prolonged amount of time that their needs aren't being met, or that they didn't speak up when things happen. So it's kind of like things keep piling on. So a few months ago, you did something to me. I'm not going to bring it up because I want to avoid it, right? It's a small thing, nothing major, but I'm not bringing it up. A few weeks roll by, the same thing happens. I still haven't addressed it, but it keeps happening. So again, how can someone know something bothers you unless you speak up, right? So then again, something else happens. I'm not bringing it up. I'm already buried in resentment. I'm buried in anger. I'm buried in I can't stand your ass. And then something minor happens and now I'm blowing up. And I'm not blowing up because the thing that happened today. I'm blowing up because of everything that's already on top of me that I didn't bring up, that I didn't address, that we didn't resolve. So now it's like this bomb went off and the person's wondering like, well, dang, was it that serious what I just did? And it's like, no, bitch, it's everything else, but it's my own fault for not bringing it up.
Well, you know, sometimes I wonder what happens is if people really do intend, Angie, to bring up conflicts in relationships. For example, I always give the classic example of laundry. That's the only contested conversation in our household. And, you know, what if I want to bring it up and I don't necessarily have the right words to say? Maybe I'm not in the right frame of mind. Maybe I'd had a long day. I don't want it to come out angrily. So I'm just going to hold my tongue until the appropriate time. And then that appropriate time just never really comes. And in the meantime, while I'm trying to find the perfect time to have a difficult conversation, other things keep happening. So by the time I get to the laundry, it ain't even about the laundry anymore. Now I'm blowing up about you because you left the lid up on the toilet or something like that. And I thought it would matter to me.
Right. But just anything.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, anything.
So, you know, and it's tough. It's tough because especially when you have kids, when people have kids, they often turn all of their attention to parenthood and less attention from their partnership. And you really can't have one without the other, right? Or you can have partnership without parenthood if you don't have any children. But if you're all coexisting and parents, I'm gonna hurt some feelings here, so get ready. It is not your main priority to raise those kids as much as it's your main priority to make sure that your partner is being taken care of.
Vlad, 100%. I agree with that 100%. When Wallace and I first got together, even before we had the kids, because it took a while for the kids to come. So we were together for 7, almost 8 years before Alana came around. But we always said, when the kids come, we're going to be Team Thomas, which is everyone. But before all that, we're Wangie. And that's Wallace and Angie. And no, F these kids. It's Wangie first and then the kids. The kids are going to leave. If you raise your kids correctly, kids will move away, have their own lives, get out of your house, and then what are you left with? An empty nest that you can't stand each other in. If you don't cultivate that relationship, again, if you want to cultivate that relationship, you know, it's like you have to have something foundational. Because the kids are supposed to leave. They're not going to be there forever. Then you're going to be left with nothing.
Well, I think there are people that would really disagree with what you just said. In that, well, you're telling me that I am to neglect my children.
That's the thing, Vlad. I feel like people live in this world where it's like all or nothing. It's like, oh, because I said I'm putting my spouse first, I'm neglecting the kids.
Well, also think about it like this, right? And I know we've touched on this before on this podcast, but say you do put all of your time and attention to the kids and your relationship deteriorates as a result, and it doesn't deteriorate like this overnight. It's gradually throughout the years, and it may not be as explosive as people fighting all the time. It just might be mom and dad don't really do anything. They never hug, they never kiss, they never affectionate. They don't talk to each other unless they're talking about us. They don't sleep in the same room. They have separate activities or go out with their own friends. I don't ever see them having us stay with somebody so that they can go out together. Kids will notice little things like that as they become big things. And now, so you might think that it's important for you, it's to put everything into your parenting. But then when your kids leave, what assurance do you have that they're in a relationship that looks exactly like yours?
Facts,
you know what I'm saying?
I want the girls to get with someone that is obsessed with them, just like Wallace is obsessed with me.
Right. Well,
that's what you want.
Why wouldn't you want that though for your baby girl or for your baby boy? You want that for you. You want somebody to be obsessed with your child. All right. Maybe not obsessed. Don't be obsessed with my boy. I'm gonna find you.
A healthy obsession. Obviously not like abnormal.
Wasn't that movie? What was that movie with Idris
Elba?
Idris Elba and Beyonce and that white woman. He was working with the white woman. I don't remember who she played.
I don't know
what the actress's name was, but he was married to Beyonce, and this woman from work was like obsessed with him, and they got into a big brawl, and she fell off of a chandelier.
Obsessed. It's called obsessed.
It was called Obsessed.
It's called Obsessed.
So if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch
2009.
that movie. And if that movie does not make you crazy, there's another one with Martin Lawrence and what's her name, the lady from Cheetah Girls. But okay, so maybe you don't want somebody that obsessed with your child, but you do want somebody who loves them,
right?
And who wants them to be with them all the time,
and puts them first, and they're a priority in their life for sure. But again, just because you prioritize your spouse time and build and cultivating and keeping that marriage spicy and whatever, that doesn't mean that you neglect your children. Two things can exist at the same time, and I feel like people forget that in a lot of things.
Well, since this is the episode and we're already on the train of hurting people's feelings, I'm gonna go a little deeper,
God,
and more controversial on this. So obviously, we are a sleep training family, which means that we don't. Because when people hear sleep training, Angie, they be saying they be thinking that we like whip our kids on a hamster wheel or something to sleep. And it's nothing like that, okay?
It's just like a very, it's a very strict routine to go to bed in your own room, pretty much.
That's it.
That's it.
Now, people think that I've heard so many arguments against this as being harmful to the child's development to let them cry. Like, we don't. Sleep training is not letting a child cry it out or just abandoning the child until they fall asleep and stop crying. That's not what it is. It's cruel, right? But what it is giving the child more and more independence at an age appropriate way, and so that they have a routine that helps them sleep. Because you want them to have that independence. They need a good night's sleep. I don't trust me or Julie to be co-sleeping with nobody, because Julie sleeps, like you said, like a rotisserie chicken. And you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody got time for that. I don't worry about smothering nobody. So anyway, but oftentimes the reason why we say that we do this is so that we can have a solid routine for Lito, but also have a solid routine for us. We have had predictability baked into our relationship, into our marriage, Angie, since we became parents, since Lito was 3 months old.
Oh, you tripping. That's very young.
So 3 months old. And look, if you got a problem, you got to holler at Tia Beth, because Tia Beth was like adamant.
Well, I guess it's different too. Not to put Julie's business out there, but we kept Arya in our room until she was 6 months, almost 7 months, I think, because we were also breastfeeding. So she slept through the night at 6-7 months, because that's when she dropped like her middle of the night feeds and stuff. But at 6 months, yes, she was in her crib, in her room. She went to bed. But yeah, that routine, it helps, And again, all babies are different. All kids are different. Some kids are lower sleep needs. They might not need as much sleep. Kids do need a lot of sleep though. So it's important that you at least try. Right. But all kids are different. But yeah, that's what worked for us too. And Emmy was the one that told me, she's like, Angie, you put them girls in your bed, they're never going to leave.
That's true. That's facts.
And that's what I told Wallace. Because again, it hurt me to have them cry, because they do cry a little bit. Obviously they want to be with you and stuff. But Wallace would just be like, fine. And then he'd put the girls on his chest, and that's how they slept for a while. And then I was like, Wallace, I don't want no more girls in this bed except me.
I don't want to share nobody.
I don't want to share. I already don't like sharing you with them. And Lily, R.I.P. I was like, all these girls in this house, Wallace, please put them girls in their room.
God, I need you to myself.
Right, but it's very helpful. And I feel like sleep training, again, like you said, controversial, but so beneficial.
And I think it's controversial because it's so misunderstood, right? And when I say 3 months, it's not like Lito was still in our room. Until I think he was close to a year old. Like, he was still in our room, I think, until like maybe 6 or 7 months or something like that. Once that nighttime feeding dropped completely, then.
So he was in your room, but you guys would just leave him in there and then go to sleep in
there.
Yeah,
because in Lowell we had our room, but then it was like an attached. It was supposed to be like a walk-in closet, but it has a closet of its own, so it's not really a walk-in closet. It's just a bonus room, and we just set Lito up in there. So he was in there for like a while, and once he was able to sleep in his own room, then he was able to sleep in his own room. And then that's when we had to do the ninja thing out of there, I had to like belly crawl out of there. But the point I'm making, this episode is not about sleep training, whether you should do it or shouldn't do it.
I was a little surprised you brought it up. I'm like, where is this going, Vlad? Interesting.
So the sleep, I bring up the sleep training, Angie, because it is one of the strategies at which Julie and I chose our relationship to prioritize it. All the while being able to do, as you said, doing two things at the same time, prioritizing the child's health and the development while also protecting the development of your marriage, right? So you already know when you're not sleeping and you're not fulfilled and you're overstimulated, those infant months, if you don't have kids yet, those infant months are rough. Okay. Now looking back at it now, our son's 3. He just turned 3. You know, Alana's 6 and Aria just turned 3. Looking back at it, I wish I had what I know now to be able to go back and enjoy those times a little bit more, to like really squeeze him a little bit more, enjoy the skin to skin contact and the contact naps a little bit more, because once those are gone, bro, they're gone, and it hurts, and I miss it. But you know. But it is so important, though, for us to be able to do that, right? Because when you're not sleeping, when you're overstimulated, and you're just chronically running on E, what do you think that's going to do for your marriage?
Right.
You're not going to be able to fight fair. You're just going to be fighting feral.
But yeah, you know I get that now. Yes. I'm glad you brought it up then, Vlad. Because, you're already tired. That is just going to make you have a shorter fuse. Yeah. You're not going to be thinking, oh, I love this man. No, you're going to be like, why are you in my face right now? I need to go to sleep. And then you're like, well, I did it last time, and I put them to sleep last time, and you didn't. So it's my turn to go to sleep, not your turn. Blah, blah. So now you're keeping score, which is another thing that I hate.
Let's talk.
You know, and I feel like we're all guilty, right? We're all guilty of keeping score when we're upset. You know.
Yeah.
But is it the best thing to do? No.
Well, let's talk about that for a little bit. The scorekeeping. You know, there are several words for it, several phrases for it. Tit for tat is one of the more universal ones, right? So what does it mean when we're talking about fighting fair and realizing that we are partners and not opponents, right? Is the tit for tat. So what we mean when we say tit for tat, like you said, I did this, so I don't have to do this. You didn't do this, so I don't have to do this. You see how that goes?
Yeah.
And so not only do you start falling behind on your household chores, but you're now angry and resentful and bitter, and it promotes a level of individualism, which individualism in relationships, surprise, surprise, you need, okay? But it promotes a level of individualism that, as it grows, no longer has a need for partnership.
Right.
And so if two people learn how to be single, essentially, while parenting in the same house, by the time those kids are older, or sometimes before, you start realizing, like, what do I need you for? I'm already doing this.
You're making things worse when you're here, actually.
Right. And it's because you've been convinced with all the tit for tat and the this and that the sole purpose that I'm married to this person is so that they can help me with these kids, when really the sole purpose is that you saw life with them regardless of what you could predict.
Kids or not.
So, I mean, come on, man. So what do we talk about when we talk about fighting fair? No name calling, for one.
Yeah.
No name calling.
Well, you said at the beginning, respect above all else. Like, why would I name call a person in the heat of a moment where you're already angry? A whole bunch of names that you know you don't really think, or maybe you do.
Maybe you do.
Maybe you do. But it's like, what's a constructive way to say those things versus just, you're this, and walking away, you know?
Right. And, you know, you should just respect your partner in general. You know, there's some things that you just don't do. No name calling is one thing, but also we all know, because we've been with our partners. You've been with Wallace for how many years?
Almost 20. We've been married 14.
Woo!
Whoa!
Listen, all that. Once upon a time, you guys were newlyweds. You were a new couple. You just get that dirt off your shoulder real quick. Just get that dirt off right there, because you know you going on 2 decades now. Everything's how you present it. So you've been with Wallace for the better half of 2 decades. Drew and I are going on 13 years together, and so we know things about each other that other people don't, and we know how to hurt each other in ways that other people don't. And so fighting fair, I shouldn't have to say it, but I'm going to say it for those of you who are listening, because I'm going to be honest with you. Somebody's listening to this right now. You're watching this podcast in your car or somewhere, and you're like, damn, is that me? Nah, not me, because I'm justified. I'm justified because he ain't do nothing.
Yeah, it's like below the belt type stuff, you know?
Yeah,
it's like, let's remember that we actually love this person.
Yeah.
You know, and we're their person. Yeah, but yeah, it's messed up, the things that some people say when they're fighting, definitely not fighting fair. Something else that is a constructive way to fighting fair, and we hear this in therapy all the time, is I statements. Therapy. I statements versus you statements. So you can say like, I feel unheard versus you never listen.
Or,
you know?
I feel unheard versus I always tell you this, or I'm always telling you, or I'm always, and that's what creates that tit for tat, right, Angie? When you're always when anytime you talk to this person, you're hearing yourself, because words matter. What we hear ourselves say matters as well. So when you're always hearing yourself telling somebody that they're continuously messing up, it's going to perpetuate the idea that they are always messing up, and that they can't do anything right. On top of them hearing, well, I can't do anything right. What do you think is going to happen if every time Wallace made a mistake, you told him, you know what, Wallace, you didn't wash those dishes, and that's just like last week when you didn't wash those dishes, and you didn't wash the dishes back then, and you ain't never washed the dishes before. I'm always doing everything around this mug, or I'm always telling you to do this, or I'm always doing this.
And to that point, Vlad, it's like let's do some self-reflection.
Yeah.
And think about, okay, am I always criticizing?
Ooh.
Or am I also taking the time to praise when they do something right?
Ooh,
or how far someone has come from the beginning of the relationship, you know? Because again, there are some shitty people. They're just gonna be shitty people.
That's
okay?
Facts. That's facts.
But if you're with someone this long, or with, you know, in your relationship, have they really been shitty this whole time? You know? And if they have, then what's the point?
Maybe they have.
Why are we still here?
Maybe they have. But what have you said constructively about it? Now, when you marry somebody, you marry them for better or for worse. I think that's a clause that we often forget.
And you take them as where they are.
And you take them as where they are, not where they could be.
The potential, Vlad.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't marry someone for potential. Okay? You have to be happy with the person that they are, because maybe that is who they are going to be forever.
But Angie, somebody might tell you in contrast to that, well, why can't I marry for potential? Sometimes you buy a house for potential, not necessarily because it has all the bells and whistles. Sometimes you buy a car not for the potential, but you could put the radio in. Like, why can't I marry for potential if everything I have is not here at the moment, but there are raw materials that can attract you?
Vlad, I feel like you have to be at least content in the moment. And if it grows and it gets better and you put in that radio in that janky car, cool. But what if it doesn't work out? And what if you're just stuck with that janky car? You have to love and be content in the place that you're at and want more. But if it doesn't happen, it's like, wasn't meant to be.
So can you give the audience, from a female perspective, from Angie's perspective, a tangible example of that when we're talking about marrying for potential? When people are married for potential, how you can't do that. So can you give us a tangible example of what that might look like when you're entering a marriage and you're looking, staring down that scope of marriage, and you're asking yourself, okay, well, I'm not completely content, but I can. I
can use me and Wallace as an example. We've been together since we were young. Like, Wallace, I think, was 17 when we got together, almost 18.
Cradle robber.
I know.
she over here got Wallace right out of gym class.
Oh my gosh. It's because Wallace he's the youngest in the class. He's a September 1 baby, right? So he's always the youngest everywhere.
This dude be turning
he
a
turned
new
18,
age on the first day of school.
He turned 18 his freshman year. Like, he went to college as a 17-year-old. But anyway,
okay.
So when Wallace and I got together, it wasn't like he was going to provide this great life. He was a baby. I was too, you know? So I can technically say, oh, I saw the potential, right, when we got together.
Right.
But I knew, like, he had, you know, these ambitions, and I knew that he was going to go places, and so did I, or so am I. But I think it's different when you're already an adult and established. Is like, okay, if this person, let's say they're a senior manager somewhere, and I'm going to get with them, maybe that's where they're going to peak in their career. You know, they could have ambitions, and everyone should have aspirations, but you can't expect want more of someone that they expect for themselves. So maybe they're content there. Maybe you're the one that wants them to go above and beyond, and maybe you can push them. But you can't get upset if that's not what they see for themselves.
Now, okay, let's bring it a step further for the folks, because a lot of people actually are in relationships where they meet their partners young.
Mm-hmm.
I was 22 when I met Jules.
Mm-hmm.
You were what, 18
18
or so? Okay. There are a lot of people that have been together for a long, long time. And so when you look back at the things that you were, like, for example, you said Wallace was, like, he wasn't a provider back then. Like,
right.
He wasn't able
I mean,
to
what
contribute.
is he going to give me? Yeah.
But you guys met in college, right?
Mm-hmm.
So neither one of you are really providing anything other than maybe some ramen noodles during finals time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen, Wallace hates this story, but I'm going to tell it. When Wallace and it was his, I think, 19th birthday or 20th birthday. I don't know. One of the first birthdays together. I got him an alarm clock and a shower curtain. This dude didn't even have a shower curtain. He's like, I take a shower over here. The water ain't going to splash over there. I'm like, bro.
Time out. I'm going to call time out. My man didn't have a shower curtain?
A curtain, bro. I should have walked away then, some people would say. But I didn't.
Now, okay. All right.
And he's like, oh, my cell phone's my alarm clock. He had a little flip phone. I'm like, you need a real alarm clock. Because I'm a real alarm clock girly. I mean, now I don't have one. But back then I did.
Did flip phones have alarm clocks back then?
Probably not, Vlad. I don't know. I don't even remember. But he's like, oh, I got my phone. And I take a shower over here. Like, the water ain't going to go over here. And I was like, you need a shower curtain, baby. You need an alarm clock, boo.
But you know what it is? He accepted the alarm clock and the shower curtain. Okay.
Of course.
So that's an example of where you're staying with somebody for the potential. And the reason why is that Wallace showed you exactly who he was in the moment.
And I accepted that thing with no shower curtain.
With no shower curtain. But guess what? Even though he didn't have a shower curtain when you met him, he showed you the potential of who he could be by how he responded to your suggestion. Now, if Wallace was like, nah, I don't need no shower curtain. Ain't nobody going to make me shower with no curtain. Then you've been like,
right. Do I want to be in this? Why are you speaking to me? Right. Yeah, that's fair.
And you and I ain't going to be sharing no showers together while you hitting with no curtain.
Right, no curtain.
So I think that's a great example, because this is my pet peeve. My pet peeve is when folks know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly who they married. They know exactly what they signed up for, and they still complain when things get rough. I'm like, first of all, you didn't let. I just get so exhausted.
Yeah.
I get exhausted. I'll give you this example. We don't glorify exes on this podcast. We only use them as points of reference, right? Because that was then, this is now.
Right.
But my ex was, I'm not even going to talk about who she was or what she did, but we were incompatible. And I knew that from jump, okay? Now, I stayed in that relationship a little bit longer than I should have. Now, did I stay in that because I was comfortable? Sure. But also because there was potential. I'm like, oh, well, if she could only be this person, but she wasn't. And any suggestion or any nudge I was giving her to move into the direction where I'd need her to be as a partner fell on deaf ears. So I had all the information I needed. And so for those of you who are in relationships with people who you've been together with for like decades, and now you suddenly wondering, like, well, why does this person just never help me with anything? Or why is this person just not conversing with me or treating me or loving me in the way I want to? Like, girl, boy, you done knew.
Yeah, maybe that's who they've been all along.
Maybe that's who they've been. Maybe they didn't change, because here's the thing. Life changes. Sometimes you have catastrophic things that happen that shift the entire way that you look at life, right, Angie? But 9 times out of 10 with marriage, with people who've been together for a very, 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 very long time, I'll give you like my uncle. My uncle recently got divorced. And something that he said to me was, oh, well, she just changed. I was like, no, she didn't. I'm like, I could tell you she didn't change, because I wasn't married to her, and I could see some of these things that broke y'all up. I could see that way back then. I'm like, she didn't change. You just ignored things. And maybe the way you felt about it changed, but she always been who she was going to be. And sometimes we just don't know better.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to shame anybody who ended up on the short end of the stick. it's sad either way. But like, yo, don't act like you didn't see that shit. That shit get on my nerves.
Yeah, and I think too, again, because we're big proponents of therapy, and a lot of therapy, and they say that a lot of the times people are stuck at the age where a traumatic event happened.
Yes.
So unless people are constantly like doing the work and trying to figure that out and work on themselves, they might be stuck as a 12-year-old girl, 14-year-old boy, or whatever the case may be. And there is no way that they can grow and do the things that you're expecting them to do because they haven't done that work and they haven't got the help. So we also have to think about the mental health component of these conversations because, again, you might have not known when you got with them that they were stuck in this, in this place, but have you tried to get them that help or lead them to get the help that they need? So,
well, I'm glad you brought up mental health because I wanted to talk a little bit, just highlight before we get into some tools to fight fair. I wanted to talk about what the psychology behind conflict is. Now, here's an interesting piece. When your body is experiencing stress, it's an evolutionary adaptation, right? So the easiest example that is often given is think about our great ancestors before modernized civilization. Let's talk about cavemen, if you believe it or not, whatever. Before the major threat was there's a hunter coming for you and you got to run, right?
And fight or flight.
Fight or flight. Just like we used to ration so much that if we had to hunt and gather and we ate, we would store fat in between our meals because we didn't know when our next meal would come, which is why that continues to be an adaptation today. But the same way that you felt stress, your heart rate started to spike and your blood started to rush to all your extremities, right? That fight or flight response. The same way that our ancestors felt stress from potential threats, we still feel that same stress. We still have that same physiological response. The only difference is our bodies don't know the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and our wife or partner, right? And so when somebody comes up and brings up something that might result in a conflict or disagreement, depending on what your experience has been, speaking from experience, not seeing healthy conflict, never seeing any sort of conflict be resolved, things just kind of exploded and then cooled and then exploded and then just cooled. It was like, it's like when your ice melts outside because it's warm, but then it turns freezing overnight, then it turns to black ice, and then, you know what I'm saying? And so when you already have a physiological response to stress, or you already have an expectation based on your experiences to what a conflict will result in, you shut down, you feel overwhelmed, or you get combative and on the defense, which is what happens in so many relationships. And I'm telling you, brother, I'm telling you, my sister, you need to be able to discern between a threat to your existence, to your health and your well-being, and a person who is your partner, who's just in the fight with you. Like they're not your threat. They're not threatening you. And sometimes they are. Domestic violence is a thing. We talked about it. Sometimes they are. Sometimes it's unsafe. And you have reasons why you're responding that way. But in order to give the relationship a fair chance, like, yo, dog, you gotta learn to feel safe with your partner. And if you're feeling all these emotions, cool. Say some shit.
Say something. That's the biggest thing, Vlad. And I feel like it always gets down to communication. Communicate. Just communicate. It's not. The world ain't gonna end because you speak your mind.
But I think a lot of people think their relationships will end if they do. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
I think a lot of people think that if I speak my mind, if before I spoke my mind I got my butt whooped, or before I spoke my mind and people left, I speak my mind and be honest and vulnerable, and this person go leave me. That's how I used to think when I met Jules. If we had a conflict, it could be something as silly as, well, I really wanted to see you this weekend, but you had other plans. And I didn't want to disappoint her, so I just didn't say anything. And we only met that on a Friday or a Saturday, so I would wait until Thursday to cancel because I was so afraid that if I let her down by telling her the truth, which is my truth, that I already had plans and I don't want to cancel them because I don't want to disappoint you. What ended up happening was Jules was like, well, I feel even worse now because you already knew this on Monday and you didn't tell me until the day before. I'm already swelling with excitement. I already got my nails done. I already got my outfit. I was already had plans with you. Why didn't you just tell me the truth? And it took a while for me to say it to her, but I was like, I don't feel comfortable with conflict because I'm afraid that people will leave. And if that's you in a relationship, it's okay. But it's not okay for you not to do anything about it.
But I was going to say, just say that then, like, hey, but I guess it's also like you have to know yourself in order to say that, to know that that's going to be a problem for you to be able to speak up, right? Because then it's also not fair to that person that you can't articulate that. So just a lot of things on top of each other.
Well, let me ask you this, Angie. Has there ever been a place in your relationship, in your nearly 2 decades with Wallace, where something like that came up, where conflicts, because I don't know if you've seen healthy conflict or how to resolve conflict growing up. Was there ever a point where you either didn't speak up and say something when you wanted to say it, or maybe you over communicated a bit?
Yeah, I'm always over communicating. Yeah. And again, I'll be completely honest, my delivery is always what needs work. Always.
So what is it about your delivery that needs work, you feel, in reflecting?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely like a yeller. And I'm definitely like a yeller. Like, this happened probably like a few weeks ago. Wallace said something and I answered him and then I walked away, but I was still talking, but I walked away, and Wallace hates when you turn your back on him and he's still talking. And I did it not to be like malicious. I literally just did it like because I wanted to walk away, like I was done. And he literally was like, Angie, you know that I hate that. And why did you do it? He's like, that's disrespectful. And then I was like, I am so sorry. You're right. You're right. But yeah, please call me out, like, well, and I can dish it. What is it called? If I can take it. If I dish it, I could take it.
Yeah,
I am. So as much confrontational that I am, please confront me, because you got literally, and I tell people, you have 48 hours to tell me I did something wrong. Because if you bring it up after that, it's like, no, it didn't happen. Actually, I will gaslight you. It did not happen. It was 48 hours ago.
Y'all ever see the show 24?
No.
On Fox with what's that actor's name? And it always had the dee-doo. It always had that like after every major scene before it went to commercial break, it showed a clock winding down from 24. 'Cause I think all these things happened within 24 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I've never seen the show, but okay.
It's like Law and Order, an action show that was on the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock slot. So with Angie, as soon as she says something that you bother
48 hours,
your clock is now started. Well, all jokes aside, though, I actually think that's a pretty healthy way of saying, listen, I don't like unresolved conflict. So if you got something to say to me, please say it to me.
Right. Like,
while
again,
we can work it out.
And again, I don't mind the confrontation. Please come up to me. That's what I prefer, actually. I'm not really good with hints and clues. I am not a detective. Please just tell me straight up, like,
For
you
those
messed
of
up.
y'all who don't know, when Angie wants to pull up on you, she gonna pull up on you, okay?
Facts.
She will pull up
Facts.
on you. If you don't need to worry about anything, there's people who are your riders. Like, if you are out and somebody is disrespectful or doing something, and you need to see, you like, I don't know who I'm rolling with. Before you could even think about responding, Angie's already got all 10 of her toenails in their ass. It's a lovely thing.
Because we're gonna solve this right now. We're not gonna do no passive aggressive. I'm just aggressive. Okay, there's no passive aggressive. Okay, so that is something I do need to work on, and I know that. So if there is like real conflict, like, I don't want to say Wallace and I've never had a real fight. We have, but I feel like these days it's just kind of like, you forgot this or blah blah. Yeah. But yes, I am very upfront confrontational. So
well, I think here's the thing. You say you're not passive aggressive, you just aggressive.
I am.
But I think the aggression doesn't necessarily have to be bad, right? You could either be aggressively abrasive and confrontational.
And it's never disrespectful. I think that's the other thing, because again, to your point, always be respectful. I'm never going to call Wallace out of his name. Never. I cub with this, again, because I'm just naturally loud. So I'm just loud.
Yeah.
And when I'm angry, I'm a little bit more loud. But it's never like out of a place of like hate. Never like malicious. It's very like, this is how I feel about this, and this is what happened. These are the facts. These are my feelings about the facts.
There was a guy that I used to work with, a trooper. His name was John, and he was a really nice guy. And anytime somebody would say something, kind of outlandish or tongue in cheek, it would just be like he'd always like time it the perfect way, Angie. Mm-hmm. So somebody would say, man, I'm going to go this weekend, I'm going to go fishing and I'm going to go swimming with the sharks and see how many of them I can catch. He would just be like, that's aggressive. That's aggressive. And it's like, it's always so perfect. So if John's watching this, man, what's up, man? Hope you're being safe. But you could also, what I was saying is you can be aggressive and confrontational, or you can be aggressively responsive and aggressively geared towards a resolution, which means that you have 48 hours to bring this up to me.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk to you. Now, if 48 hours passes, what do you do?
What do you mean? Like, what do I do with that
person?
If
the 48 hours have passed, somebody's been besmirched. Obviously, you're not going to be privy to that, right?
No, right.
But if 48 passes and then 48 hours passes,
why did you take so long?
Okay.
Why did it take so long?
And that's and then you reaffirm, like, you could always come to me.
Right, you could always come to me because right now it's a non-issue. I apologize, but it's a non-issue. It's been 48 hours.
But would you say it's a non-issue right away?
Well, no, after. Why did it take you so long?
Okay, after you resolved it.
Yeah. Okay. Then it's a non-issue.
I was going to say, because if you tell somebody it's a non-issue when they bring it up to you, it might make the conversation go so great.
Right. But yeah, that's going to be my main question. Why did it take so long? It's been a week.
Yeah, and my thing is like this too. Julie and I have had we haven't had spats really in the last few years. Trust me, we had our time, and this is way long ago. But sometimes there are things that have come up where Julie's like, I didn't want to tell you about this. Like I think in one instance it had something to do with her tooth or something. Like, and she was taking pain meds because her tooth was having a lot of pain. And my first response was, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I wasn't mad at her. I was just frustrated that she was in pain and she didn't tell me. I want to share that pain. I want to navigate that with you. So it's things like that, right? But it's like you said, like, the sooner you talk, the less cleanup work you got to do.
Yeah, it's always like a miscommunication issue. Most problems are a miscommunication issue. I thought you felt like this about this. You didn't tell me this. So it's like that's the nitty gritty. Over communicate if you have to. Better than not communicating.
Right. Right. Now we've talked about fighting fair. What happens when the things fall apart? So let's talk about some resolutions. When communication falls apart, you done already rashed this person, you done already said these things. What happens when we restore, when we repair? So one of some strategies that we could use, that you can use right now, you can bring back into your relationship and resolve and cut this tit for tat out. All right, cut the tit, cut the tat. Don't have no tit, don't have no tat, and you'll be fine. Okay. Yeah. Number one is using I statements. Right. Yep. So instead of saying you always do this, you always do that, you always do this, I'm always, and we're not saying to use the I statements as I'm always doing this, I'm always saying this, I'm always doing this.
How do you feel about it?
Okay. I feel this way when you do this. I am worried. I am fearful. I am anxious. I am whatever it is. But the point of the I statements is to clue somebody in. Is to clue your partner into your experience. And I feel that when you do that in relationships, whether they're romantic or not, but when you do that in relationships, friendships, you're being vulnerable, and that vulnerability allows that other person to be vulnerable themselves. Ain't nobody gonna open up to you when they feel attacked. Yeah. Right? If you come up to me and say, you know what, Vlad, I'm like,
right, I'm already shut down. I'm shut down.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So now I'm on defense, because now you attacking me, and depending on what I've been through, my defense mode might not look so great. And I might say some things I don't like. Yeah. I might say some things you don't like. So use I statements. Number two is taking time outs. Now I like to use this one for kids too.
Yeah, take a break.
Taking a break.
Need a little break.
It's self-regulation.
Ario say that. She's like, I need a break.
She says that?
I need a break. And she'll go and sit down, kind of just stare at you. She needs a break. It's kind of like she wants to remove herself from the situation. Yeah, and just sit. And that kind of like regulates your nervous system before you come back. And you don't take that break, you're already on high alert. Right. So you can just say anything. You're going to act out. So you need that break in order to regulate and then return to the conversation with a fresh mind and, ready to resolve versus ready to fight.
Talk about ready to fight. That brings us to our next point. Number 3 is staying on issue, Angie. Yeah. And so it's fleeing the temptation to bring up every piece of besmirched that has happened between you when you guys are talking about laundry, you guys are talking about the dishes, or you talking about the kid, whatever it is that you're having a disagreement about. Stay on issue.
It's that stack of stuff that's been happening, piling on. Okay, no, we're focusing on the thing that just happened, not all these unresolved issues from the past, because you didn't decide to resolve them then. We're not going to resolve them right now. We are on one issue right now, and the issue is whatever it is. Stay on topic.
Stay on topic. And while you're staying on topic, number 4, Angie, is listening to understand, not to respond. This is going to be a big one.
That's tough.
That's going to be a big one with our audience, because who doesn't like having a good old upper hand? Who doesn't like having a good old checkmate? I knew I was right. Ego will erode your marriage and your relationship so damn fast, boy. If you want to be in agreement all the time, then you might as well just be dating yourself and sit in a phone booth where there's not a lot of room for you to breathe, because that's all you want. You can't be in a relationship and be right all the time. You can't.
You're going to be wrong sometimes.
You're going to be
wrong. And it's okay. No one's going to die, and no one's going to no one's going to die if you say, you were right, I was wrong.
And also, listening to understand gives you insight into what you did or what is going wrong or what can be fixed, so that you can avoid it next time. So whether you're listening to your partner tell you something that they don't like that you've done, or whether they're just you're listening to them vent about something that has nothing to do with you. Listen to understand what they're going through.
And ask clarifying questions if you need to.
Yeah.
You know, a question for clarity, not, oh, so you think I'm dumb. Like, again, petty. Have I done it? Yes. Should you? No. So you hate me?
Yeah.
I like telling Wallace that sometimes, playing around, not like in a real fight.
So
I'll tell Wallace, like, oh, I want to spend money on something frivolous, and he'll be like, no, not right now, or whatever. I'm like, oh, so you hate me? So what I'm hearing is,
I statement's gone wrong.
You don't like me anymore.
That's when checking in goes wrong. Checking in for clarity goes wrong, man.
But but ask the clarifying questions. If they said something and you're unclear, again, we're listening to understand, not, to respond. Ask questions if you need a clearer answer. Let them get to the root of what they're trying to say.
Now, what do you say to people who may be in a relationship and it's like, well, I feel like I always give this person space, my partner space, to express themselves, and I don't know why I can't get on par with what they're saying. And when you ask them, well, were you listening? Sure. Well, what were they saying? Well, I mean,
right. So were you listening? Are you going to pass that exam? I think not.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, bro. You know when you feel like you studied all night for a test, and you studied like chapters 1 through 4, and then chapter 5 ends up being the first question. You're like,
right. So it's like you already know you're wrong.
And here's the thing too. What are the consequences of you not being able to garnish that, to develop that skill? Well, there's some, and I'm going to talk about men right now, because men are who I work with, but also in this season, in the last few weeks, I feel like I've been seeing a lot of this happening. When I say a lot, at least 3 or 4 people that I know in my circles or within my spheres of influence have been surprised with either a surprise divorce ask or a surprise separation initiation. And it almost comes like there was a brother that was saying that his wife gave him his ring, his fiance gave him his ring back last night. There was another brother that was saying he came home from work and saw a note from his wife saying that I'm leaving with the kids or whatever. And, and the list goes on, at least 3 or 4 of these things. And I'm just like, yo, what is going on? And here's where I land with that. I'm sure there's always 2 sides to a story. There's 3 sides, actually. It's what he said, it's what she said, it's what they said or whatever, and then there's the truth. But it should rarely come as a surprise. Don't nobody just get up and leave one day. Nobody is that impulsive. This is coming from Mr. ADHD and Mrs. ADHD over here, okay? Nobody is that impulsive. Relationships don't end on a whim. They end on the end of a stick, a very long stick that whose fibers have been breaking for very, very long, and it just took one thing to break the camel's back. So you will not be surprised if you understand what the issues are. And if you understand what the issues are, by the time the relationship, if it's unresolvable, by the time it's over, you know why it's over. You know what you did. You know what your part is. You know what their part is. You know what went right, what went wrong, what was unresolvable. You know. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah, something that we should avoid, Vlad, when fighting fair is the 4 relationship killers. Do you know what they are?
Nah, tell me what those are.
Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling.
Stonewalling. Mm-hmm. Stonewalling.
I'm going to find the exact definition of that before I just give you the Angie version.
When I hear stonewalling, okay, so criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Mm-hmm. So when I think of stonewalling, I'm thinking of there's just no chance for you to come back. There's
right. So you're literally a wall of stone. You're literally a stone wall, impenetrable. Nothing is getting through. So definition: stonewalling is a communication pattern where one person shuts down or withdraws from a conversation, becoming unresponsive to avoid conflict or feeling overwhelmed. This behavior is often called the silent treatment. Can be unintentional as a defense mechanism or a deliberate tactic for manipulation or control.
Can I tell you a real funny story real quick about that?
Yeah.
So the other day, my mom and I were talking about something, and I go toe-to-toe with my mom. She knows she can't bullshit a bullshitter, okay? And those are the words I said to her. My mom and I just have that relationship. I was like, Mom, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. She said, what you mean? And so I said, I think she was criticizing somebody for being petty or for not communicating. And I said, well, Mom,
you do that all the time.
You kind of do that all the time. And she was like, what you mean? And I said, okay, remember that time? So one time my mom asked us we were going to church, I think for her birthday or something. And we were living in Lowell at the time. And so my brother lives with her. Now, anytime I tried to promote a relationship between the two of them, this is years ago, they've gotten much better. But before, if I tried to say, hey, why don't you ask Serge to do this or ask my brother to do this, my mom would get mad at me just for suggesting or giving somebody else the responsibility. I'm like, yo, I don't even live here no more.
I want you, Vlad.
And so the church was in the city where my mom and my brother live. So I said, okay, listen, I'm running a little bit late. Could you ask Serge to bring you? And she's like, well, I'm just gonna go by myself. I'm like, damn, okay. So then Mom overshoots the mass, the Catholic mass. She thought that was going to happen at a certain time, and it didn't. So then we get there, and it's an empty church. It's in the basement. It's an empty steeple, whatever you want to call it. It's an empty room. Mass is not happening. My mom is at the altar praying. So then me and my wife are sitting in the back, just letting her pray. We're just sitting in the back towards the exit. And my mom was feeling so petty about me asking her to ask my brother to bring her instead of me that she just, when she got up and she was done praying, she walked right by us and just opened the door and proceeded to walk up the street as if we weren't there. And it wasn't until we got in our car and I flagged Mom down and said, Mom, get in the car. What are you doing? And that's when she just started acting normal. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. You just acted like we weren't there.
She
like,
said, Vlad who? There's no Vlad in this church.
She's like, who? I think I hear an ow. I don't know why they out here. Yo, it's crazy, man. So anyway, that's stonewalling.
Yeah,
right
that
there,
definitely stonewalling. Criticism, we all know what criticism is.
Give some examples for the audience.
I would just say anytime someone's doing something, you're literally just going against what they're doing. They're doing it wrong. They can't do anything right. Bringing up stuff that they never do or always do. So
real quick, as you bring that up, I love tangibles because our audience is really going to learn a lot from this. What are some things in light of criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling, what are some things that a man should never say to a wife, and what are some things a wife should never say to a husband, in your opinion? So what are some of the things, maybe to simplify it this way, what are some things that Wallace should never, ever say to you if he wants to get through to you?
Compare me to my parents.
So if Wallace like, you just like your mom.
No. You just like your daddy. If you was to ever say that to me.
You feel like you shut down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you want me to be like my daddy? Because I could really be like Jose Francisco Hernandez, okay?
If you want to be funny, we could be hilarious.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Let's be funny right now. Ha ha. Look at me, clown, okay? Yeah, that would really, one, hurt me, and two, get me really upset. What can I say to Wallace? Probably the same thing. Honestly,
well,
I think our parents are like touchy subjects. Not touchy to the point like we aren't over it, but it still stings if someone's like, "You just like your mama."
I mean, somebody said to me that I was just like my dad, which I've heard my mom say to my brother a lot, and I've repeatedly redirected her. Right, say that.
Right. Especially in a bad way. Yeah. You know, because obviously our parents also have redeeming qualities. It's not like they're bad people. Sure. But it's like for you to tell me that in the tone that you said it, it's like.
If you say it resentfully.
Right, exactly.
Or with contempt.
Criticism. You're criticizing me. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that. But there's a lot of things we just should not, say to our husbands, say to our wives. I feel anything to do with like a woman's like physicality, especially if it's something that she struggles with, especially if like she's already struggling because she had kids or she's postpartum, anything like that. I think going like against a man's manhood, that's also like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
But yeah, I think those are like two big ones too.
Yeah,
I mean, like parents, body issues, and just manhood, and I feel like men are so protective, or it's always like, oh, I'm a man, so it's like somebody's attacking that. It's like, well, how do you come back from that?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say manhood, the concept thereof, or the understanding of it, the definition is just not clearly defined. Right now we're in somewhat of a revolution where men are starting to redefine nicely what manhood is and what it feels like. And, it really is going to look different depending on who you talk to. But one thing that you should never say, ladies, to a man is that he's not a man. The minute you begin effeminating a man, am I using that word?
Effeminate?
Or demasculating him. The minute you begin demasculating a man, you begin stripping any sorts of lines of communication, because men already struggle with being good enough, as do women struggle
and being vulnerable. So
it's
like vulnerable. You're not providing a safe place for this man to express some of his femininity if he has it, or whatever. So it's like, how are they going to open up and be that person you want them to be if they don't have like the soft place to land? And I quote, just inside jokes.
Yo, talk about petty.
Anyway.
Nah, I mean, I agree because, it is. And sometimes, fellas, women will try to trick you, all right, into making a distinction or conclusive statement or a conclusive opinion about their physical appearance. And you have to always remember that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Angie, sometimes women will set you up with a innocent sounding question because they want to see if you're going to answer correctly. Okay. Men, we're just not as nuanced. We're not, which is why we get it wrong most of the time. So, perfect example. Your wife has had a baby. You guys have children. Her body has changed. Somewhat, seemingly irrecoverably, whatever. And she's, well, do you think I'm fat? Or do you think, are you still attracted to me? The answer to the second is always yes. It's always yes. And I hope you are. Because if you being in love with your partner only boils down to what they look like now versus what they look like when you first met them, damn, like nobody taught you how to love deeply. And you need to think about that.
Yeah, because that works both ways, Vlad.
Yeah.
I feel like nobody is the same as they were, and if you are, that's great. But I feel like a lot of people aren't. And it's like, to your point, is that all that you love about that person, I mean, and maybe.
Yeah, and men are visual creatures, right? Yeah. And I'm not saying that if your partner looks like, I don't know, if they're doing things to themselves to harm themselves or harm their appearance, you can't lie about your attraction to them, but there's a way to express that. And if you want your partner to be, I don't know, let's use the most accessible example, right? Women's bodies change after childbirth. If you want your partner to be healthier, or if you feel like your partner's struggling with their weight, there's a way for you to say that. And that might look like, I'm worried about your health. Not I'm worried that you don't look good enough for me. Like that's that is one of the things you should never say to women, like you said. If you tell a woman like, yo, you're not attractive, yo, bro, you might as well
and
stop
that's
packing
it.
your bags,
And
bro.
it's like there's no care behind it.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm sure that she already has these conversations with herself. So it's like, how do you approach that and kind of help her get there? You know, make it easy for her to go to the gym, to go work out, to, you know, meet with a dietitian or a gym, what's it called, a coach or whatever.
Or offer to do it together.
Yeah, that too.
You know what I'm saying? And so that brings us to, wow. I mean, those are 4 relationship killers for real. I mean, but all of it, we talked about it. We talked about defensiveness, conflict, defensiveness, conflict, criticism, and stonewalling. Let somebody in, okay? And we actually just talked about the last piece just now, is use a soft intro.
Yeah, exactly.
If you come in, there's something that I learned in the state police, and that it was about patrol procedures. And they said that when you're on a traffic stop, you control the temperature of the interaction. And we're not going to talk about this on this episode, but everybody knows what happened in Minneapolis this past week. And I think it is a prime example of that sage advice. You control the temperature of the traffic stop just like you control the temperature of a conversation with somebody. They always taught us, if you come in on a traffic stop, all the way up here, yelling, shouting, license registration, being a butthole about it, then if somebody's convinced they're not going to jail, they're not going to face the consequences of their actions, they're gonna put those on you.
Especially if you already have the upper hand and the power.
Yeah,
you're the officer.
Like I'm dressed like this. You over here. I'm looking down on you.
Be for real.
Like, you know what I'm saying. So they said if you come up here, you're not gonna you're not gonna be able to bring it back down. But if you start your traffic stop, even if you're annoyed with this person, which I have been, but even if you're annoyed because they did something stupid, and you start off respectfully, hey, so and so with the state police, can I have your license registration? Oh, what am I getting stopped for? I'm gonna let you know. You control. If things get out of hand, you could always bring it back. Bro, I had somebody, Angie, some kid that had his license suspended. He didn't know it was suspended. Got suspended 2 days before it was supposed to. And it was back when I thought I had to do everything by the book. And so I was towing his car. And this kid started, and I was calm the whole time.
Yeah.
But then when they were towing his car, this dude started, he took a water bottle and like whipped it at the ground. He started punching stuff. Long story short, I ended up giving him a ride to the nearest gas station, and he was a kid, and I was talking to him, and but again, it's because I could control that. So, because I came in soft, and so if you start a conversation with accusations, criticisms, defensiveness, or contempt, then where do you expect that conversation to go? It's not gonna go nowhere.
And I love a good conversation sandwich. Have you ever heard of that? So it's like, I'm gonna tell you, Vlad, I just really love that hat on you. You know, your feet smell, but but your outfit choice, top notch.
I did not know that's where it was going.
But that's the sandwich. You have to do good, the bad, and the good again. Vlad's feet do not smell, but I was thinking, what can I say right
I really
quick?
love that dress. Your feet stink, but it's so good on you. What if the person gets stuck? Like, I don't care what my dress looks like or my hat looks like. You told me my feet stink. Let's talk about the stink.
Right, but we're gonna talk about it. But you dress it up. You dress it up. You dress it up to get to what you were trying to say, But it's like people, nobody wants to just hear critique after critique after critique.
Right.
Is the point of the sandwich.
And so we're gonna wrap by doing this, right? Giving you guys some things to tangibly be able to put what you've heard today into motion. Right?
Yes, how to repair after a fight.
Right, and it's emotional safety. You touched on this, Angie. And what is emotional safety? It means no threats, no mocking.
Yep.
no silent treatment, right? And no weaponizing vulnerabilities.
Facts.
And I only want to touch on the no threats real quick because I think there are times we've seen it in popular culture with 90 Day Fiancé, The Last Resort. If you are an avid fan, holla. We love trash TV. It's a good bonding opportunity.
I need to get back to it. I was trying to watch the episodes in order, but there's so many.
There are a lot.
And Vlad's always like, remember this? I'm like, I'm not there yet.
I was like, come on, you got to know Big Ed. You got to know Big Ed. Like Big Ed was maybe I'll stitch it into this episode. He was dating this woman from Thailand, I think, and I guess she had bad breath.
No, he didn't sandwich her.
No, he didn't.
I love your bathing suit.
He just came out. They took a shower. She took a shower. She came out, and he's like, "Your breath doesn't always smell the best, so here's some toothpaste. That's it." And she was like,
I didn't like that.
And he was sitting there like, yeah. Okay. But anyway, no sandwich, no threats. Okay. That's why I brought up 90 Day Fiancé, because of The Last Resort. Some people think that if I issue an ultimatums, right away, before I try to do any of the work of having the conversation of doing the vulnerability of addressing the criticism, the contempt, the defensiveness, and all that, if I just issue an ultimatum, well, you do this or I'm gonna leave. Temperature. Yeah. Fuego. Okay. We like it at 99 degrees.
Right.
And I'm not, or 98 degrees. And I'm not talking about the boy band. Okay. We are all the way up here. If you, especially, I'm just using myself as an example, somebody who struggles with abandonment. If you tell me, well, I don't like the way that you did this, and if you do it again, I'm gonna leave you. Or if you don't get your act together and do what I ask you to do, or love me the way I want you to love me, I'm gonna leave you. Now, even if you know that might be a possibility, if you bring it in a conversation, number one, the first thing I guarantee you, the only thing you're gonna guarantee is that person's gonna shut down.
Right.
And they already might start leaving and try to prepare for your departure, even if you don't actually intend on leaving. You tell somebody you're gonna leave, they're like, oh, all right. All right.
Yeah, because it's like you don't have any choices. It's like it's already been chosen for you. So it's like, why wouldn't you shut down? Yeah.
You can't get nowhere with threats. Ultimatums happen at the last resort. Ha!
90 Day Fiancé.
90 Day Fiancé. Hashtag. There's another one. There's an ultimatum.
The ultimatum.
No. Not Married at First Sight. Love is Blind.
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind has a ultimatum spinoff, and 90 Day Fiancé also has a Last Resort spinoff. So she's like, "Yo, man, I can't keep up with the fandom."
There's so much.
Anywho, you can't threat, you can't mock, you can't give the silent treatment, you can't be exploiting and weaponizing vulnerabilities, because all of that erodes trust and respect.
Yes.
So you are not going to get through to homegirl. If you feel like you're at the point where you just have to start issuing threats and putting people's nervous systems on high alert, it's already over.
Yeah. And then quickly before we wrap up, Vlad, repairing after a fight. Okay, and I'm just going to read these real quick.
Do it.
Apologize sincerely. Acknowledge your part. Again, this is a two-way street. It's not always them. Like do self-reflection and what part did you play in this too? Validate your partner's feelings. Obviously, they brought this up because they feel a certain way about it. Reaffirm the commitment. You're on the same team. And I think that's the biggest part. Go back to your why. Like, why did I even get with this person to begin with? You know? We're on the same team. We're fighting a problem, not each other. And then discuss what you'll do differently next time. So, again, problems are going to keep coming up. But what can we do in the future to repair faster or to avoid the problem at hand altogether? So...
Is that your final thoughts?
Those are my final thoughts. I just wanted to leave the people with how to repair after a fight.
How to repair after a fight. And I guess my final thought will be this. Communication is the bedrock of every relationship. It's not what you say, but how you say it oftentimes. And there are a couple of things that you can do to get your communication going well and or to improve communication. Number one, we live in an addictive society. We are addicted to our phones and technology. Look, if you guys have issues, but you have time to be scrolling on Instagram, then then something is wrong.
Yeah.
Put the phone down. Stop listening to people. I'm not saying don't listen to Roots and Rhythm.
Listen to us, not the others.
But I'm saying, obviously, we're not like an authority, an ultimate authority, but there comes a time for research and there comes a time for practice.
Yeah.
And if you're together and you have any time away from your kids, if you have them, which is precious, precious time, by the way, use that time to improve your communication skills. Put your phones down. Like, leave your phones in a bucket. I know some schools do. Before the kids go in the classroom, they got to put their phones in a bucket and check in so that they're present. You can't work on your relationship while you're talking through something difficult, while you're looking at your ESPN stats, or while you're looking at your favorite creator. You have to be present in order to be practical, right? And use these practical strategies. So using your phone, limiting phone use is one thing. Also, I mean, it sounds cliche, but we talk about making date nights, right? Or making time for each other. Sometimes it might not be, the romance is not there because there's so much conflict. Instead of making a date night, make a resolution night, right? Make a time on your schedule where you guys can just hash it out. And that could be in couples therapy. It can be on a walk. You might not even have to spend no money, but you just need time together so that you can work through the stuff without distractions. And I'm telling you, it is, I don't know what it's like out there. It has been 13 wonderful years, very beautiful, very educational years for me. And I have no desire to go see what's out there.
It's the trenches out there, as least I've heard.
It's
well, my friends tell me.
Yeah, all our single people tell us that it is not cool out there. And so I'm not telling you to stay in a toxic situation. But if there's room to grow and there's an opportunity for repair, take it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I want to rest in peace Kevin Samuels. He says sometimes the best thing you...
Vladimir bringing up these ain'ts.
She'll like Kevin Samuels.
I don't.
And, there are things he said I didn't agree with. But one thing I did agree with him was on the open market or what people's perceived value is on the dating market. And sometimes, listen, you might be better off just trying to work things out with your partner, the person that you procreated with. If you can finally do enough self-reflecting to realize that the problem isn't them, it's what exists between you.
Yeah.
That can be resolved if you both are willing to put your keys in turn. So that's all I got. That is my final thought.
Yeah.
Make sure you like and subscribe to this podcast.
Please do.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just wanted to also share that fighting fair is going to be a lifelong practice, and I think you said it's a practice.
Yes.
It's not a one-time fix. So keep progressing. It's a progress. Keep progressing. Not perfection. Progress, not perfection, as I like to tell Vlad. So you're not going to get it right the first time, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it.
That's it. It's like anything. It's like getting on a bike and riding it. You're going to fall off, but be willing to get back on.
That's right. It's worth it.
You're going to ride into the sunset. It's
most
like
times. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we have some exciting things going on. We're going to have some special guest episodes you guys don't want to miss out on. So make sure that you hit the notification bell so that you can get in the know, stay in the know. And yeah, lots of great things happening for Roots and Rhythm in the very foreseeable future. I am so excited. It's your boy, Vlad the Bull, your #1 embrace coach.
And Angie, less I bet mommy.
We are out of here. Stay rooted.